The Senate will come to order. The Secretary will call the roll.
Senator Buck. Senator Cannizzaro. Senator Cruz Crawford. Senator Daley. Senator Dignate. Senator Dundara-Loop. Senator Ellison. Senator Flores. Senator Hansen. Senator Krasner. Senator Lang. Senator Neal. Senator Wynn. Senator Orangehall. Senator Pizzina. Senator Rogish. Senator Scheibel. Senator Steinbeck. Senator Stone. Senator Taylor. Senator Titus.
Let the record reflect there are 21 senators present. Please rise for the prayer by Senator Steinbeck and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our dear, gracious Heavenly Father, we're grateful for all of our many blessings. We're grateful that we could be here together today as a legislative body and to do the work of the people of this great state of Nevada. Please bless us with the wisdom to do that. And please bless us with the peace to know that everyone in this room is absolutely doing their very best to represent you and to represent the people of this great state. Please bless us to always know that the gospel is the ultimate word for us and the ultimate guidance. And please let us always be inspired by the ministry of Christ that was there for the poor, that was there for the afflicted, that was there for the marginalized. And let us hold that in our hearts, and let us always try to serve all people, but to remember that most of all. And we're grateful for that, and please give us the strength and the wisdom to do what we need to do, and let us love and forgive all. And we say this humbly in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
I pledge allegiance Order of Business 3, reading and approval of the journal. By previous order of the Senate, the reading of the journal is dispensed with, and the President and Secretary are authorized to make the necessary corrections and additions. Order of Business 4, reports to committees.
Mr. President, your Committee on Public Safety and Security, to which was referred Senate Bill number 6, has had the same under consideration and begs leave to report the same back with the recommendation amend and do pass as amended. Signed, Senator Melanie Scheibel, Chair. End of reports.
Order of Business 6, messages from the Assembly.
Assembly Chamber, Carson City, November 16th, 2025. To the Honorable the Senate, I have the honor to inform your honorable body that the Assembly on the State passed as amended Assembly Bills numbers 4, 5, and 6. Signed, Jason Hadaway, Assistant Chief Clerk of the Assembly. End of messages.
Order of Business 10, introduction, first reading, and reference.
Assembly Bill 4, introduced by the Assembly Committee on Public Safety and Security, revises provisions relating to public safety. End of bill.
Senator Lang.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to refer AB to the Committee on Public Safety and Security.
You've heard the referral. Are there any objections? Seeing none, so ordered.
Assembly Bill 5, introduced by the Assembly Committee on Jobs and Economy, enacts the Nevada Studio Infrastructure Jobs and Workforce Training Act. End of bill.
Senator Lang.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to refer Assembly Bill 5 to the Committee on Jobs and Economy.
You've heard the referral. Are there any objections? Seeing none, so ordered.
Assembly Bill 6, introduced by the Assembly Committee on Public Safety and Security, revises provisions governing traffic laws. End of bill.
Senator Lang.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to refer Assembly Bill 6 to the Committee on Health and Wellness.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, so ordered.
That concludes Order of Business 10.
Order of Business 12, second reading.
Senate Bill 6, introduced by the Senate Committee on Jobs and Economy, revises the Windsor Park Environmental Justice Act. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1 and Section 1.
Are there any amendments?
I have amendment number 12, proposed by the Senate Select Committee on Public Safety and Security.
Senator Scheibel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to dispense with the reading of the amendment.
There are no objections, so ordered. Senator Scheibel.
I move to adopt Amendment 12 to Senate Bill 6.
You've heard the motion. Senator Scheibel.
This makes a couple of changes to Senate Bill 6, including deleting the requirement for the Housing Division to adopt regulations. It revises certain dates so that residents who live in Windsor Park as of December 31st, 2025 will be eligible for the program. Expands options for residents to prove ownership. Provides that the number of homes constructed is determined by the list of eligible residents. Replaces a shall with a may so that the Housing Division is authorized to require any transaction for the exchange of property to be closed through the escrow process. Removes the requirement that the Housing Division provide guidance on federal income tax treatment as an exchange of transaction. Clarifies that the developer already selected by the Housing Division is to construct replacement homes that will be engaged in constructing a park, and changes shall to may so that the Housing Division is authorized rather than required to pay the relocation expenses in advance.
Any further remarks on the amendment? Seeing none, those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. SB 6 is ordered reprinted, engrossed, and to the general file. Senator Cannizzaro.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that all necessary rules be suspended, that reading so far had considered second reading, rules further suspended, and that Senate Bill number 6 be declared an emergency measure under the Constitution, that the reprinting of the bill be dispensed with, that the Secretary be authorized to insert Amendment number 12, just adopted by the Senate, and that the bill be placed on general file for immediate consideration.
There's a motion that Senate Bill number 6 has been declared an emergency measure under the Constitution. This takes a 2/3 vote. Are there any further remarks? Senator Cannizzaro.
Thank you, Mr. President. The purpose for this motion is, again, to keep us moving expeditiously, as is the charge with this special session.
Any further remarks? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Order of Business 13, general file.
Senate Bill 6, introduced by the Senate Committee on Jobs and Economy, revises the Windsor Park Environmental Justice Act. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly to enact as follows, Section 1 into Section 1.
Are there any amendments?
There are none. Section 7, this act becomes effective upon passage and approval. End of bill.
Senator Neal.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 6 basically makes changes to the Windsor Park Environmental Justice Act. It continues the process of justice for families that were left in sinking homes for 30 years.
Any further remarks? Senator Titus.
Thank you, Mr. President. Unfortunately, I rise in opposition to Senate Bill 6. I've struggled with this bill over many sessions with this concept. This morning I got up in my beautiful valley that I brag about all the time, and I went for my morning run. And I really asked and prayed for what would be the best position for this, recognizing that I live in the home that I've paid for, and I've been there for 40 years. It's an old home. It was built in 1916. It has settled. I've had to do repairs, et cetera. So I have this unique perspective. But I wanted to try to put my mind in what it would be like to be this group of families, and how important this bill is to them. And I deeply appreciate what the senator has committed almost a lifetime of work to do. However, I also thought and did some research on numbers. Windsor Park was built in the 1960s and had about 241 homes, and 93 remain. And then I thought about some other folks who lost their homes. And again, the numbers. Since the 1990s, more than $51 million in public funds have already been directed towards the issue, including $14 million from federal, state, and local sources, and $37 million approved in 2023 to relocate residents and build 93 new homes. Last session, significant ARPA funds were allocated, and some remained unused, and now we're asking for another $25 million with no new federal support. There comes at a time when we have heard during this session the potential for people to go hungry, how we had to make sure we have 500,000 people in Nevada that needs government assistance to eat, to actually eat. We've heard dramatic testimony about people going hungry. We've heard dramatic testimony about people not being able to get health care. And then I thought about the Great Recession. In 2008, in the Great Recession, nearly 78,000 Nevadans, properties were received foreclosure filings. Tens of thousands of families lost their homes. Yet, the state of Nevada did not buy these homes. Today, however, we are preparing to spend more than $548 $548,000 per household for 93 households out of 1.2 million Nevada households. I sympathize deeply with those who have endured these conditions, but I still believe that this is a fiscal boondoggle without clear limits or accountability or any kind of finish line. Sometimes we make tough decisions, but I represent all Nevadans. I represent 6 different counties, but I also represent across this broad wealth of this wonderful state. And I think about the people that lost their homes in the Great Recession. I have to stand up for all families. I urge my fellow senators to be a no. Thank you.
Senator Cannizzaro.
Kidding. Here's the mic. I rise in very strong support of Senate Bill 6. I, for the life of me, cannot, one, fathom what these families have gone through. I also cannot fathom how we would ever ignore a solution to help them in the way that they have been ignored for a sustained and such a large amount of time. I know that I will not do justice to why this bill is important as much as my colleague from Senate District 4 will, but I would be remiss if I did not stand up and, number one, acknowledge that her fight for these people is unprecedented as I have seen in this building in my time here. There are people who have not had a voice in the fact that their very ability to exist and to live has been challenged, not just because they bought a home that happened to have some issues or some defaults, but because repeatedly the government has failed them in ways that I cannot even imagine. There is no amount that we could possibly put forward in this body that will rectify the wrongs that were done to whole communities and whole families of people and whole generations of people, repeated time and time and time and time again. I have sat through this hearing on this bill for this neighborhood several times, and my heart breaks. And yes, there are a lot of challenges in this state, but you cannot say that because there is another challenge, we shouldn't solve the one that is sitting before us, and by the way, has been sitting before us for decades. Yes, we have put money into this project. But think about if the one thing that you were able to deliver for your family was the chance to own, and by the way, these are not big fancy homes, but this was a chance and an opportunity. And all of the wonderful things that have been associated with that have been stripped from them. And despite repeated times where they were supposed to have help, that help was squandered. And they were left to deteriorate without any hope of relief. And yes, it might take this state a little bit of money to do so, but we owe it to them. I am a strong support of Senate Bill 6. I am grateful that this has been placed on the special session agenda because we just cannot sit here and let this continue to fester. And I know that we would not be here if it weren't for the very valiant and amazing efforts of my colleague from Senate District 4 and what she is doing in this building and with this bill and for the sustained number of sessions that we've been talking about this is remarkable. And I would strongly urge that if you are seeking for guidance and for conscience on this bill, that you vote yes. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Neal.
Thank you, Mr. President, for acknowledging me for a second time. I rise in support of Senate Bill 6. I don't know if someone is pressing on the cage of a lion or trying to figure out how to find Jesus. However, I have been working on this policy since 2019. When the home started to sink in 1989, I was in middle school. When the city of North Las Vegas tried to find a remedy, I was in college. So I haven't been working on it in a lifetime, because if I had been working on it in a lifetime, it would have been remedied. The $14 million that the city of North Las Vegas went to the federal government to ask for needs to be broken up. They came to the legislature in 1991, and in 1992, they asked for $250,000 from the state legislature. They then came back, asked for another $250,000 to then bond. They went to the federal government, and they gave it in piecemeals, 6, 7, and then the city tried 3 attempts. First, they tried to pick up the homes and move them, and they found out that that was super expensive and not containable. 2, they then gave $50,000 vouchers to families to leave, take that $50,000 and apply it to another home, and continue the existing mortgage. 3, they then built 45 homes, which we use as a colloquialism for Baby Windsor, which is Cibola Park. And those 45 homes that were built were poorly constructed, which I established and placed 50 years of minutes in the record in 2023 that said that although I'm giving you a remedy with federal funds, the houses, the doors were facing each other. The paint was peeling within 1 year. There were minutes, city council minutes, that said that the tub paint was peeling. I then went and looked and found minutes to try to determine, did the city at any point after 96, 97, 1998, 2000, 2001, up to 2014, if there was any conversation that they went and fixed those homes? The answer was no. The problem that I was faced with in 2023, and when I met these families in 2019, was because the 93 families who remained knew what happened to the 45 families who took the new home, poorly constructed, complained, and failed to have the city provide a remedy and fix it. So they stood still because they said, what the government is providing me is substandard to what I have paid since 1965 as a taxpayer in this house, where I was forced into a red line district and told that the only place I could live as a black family were in these homes. Not that they chose it. The city said you cannot live anywhere else but here. Through no fault of their own, groundwater was removed from underneath the land. I pulled the water records before they disappeared when I came into the building in 2011 because I knew it was one of the things I would take on. I didn't know how I would take it on. I didn't know when I would take it on, but I knew that I needed to get those records before the water engineer left. And that caused subsidence in those homes, and those homes started to sink. The streets cracked. The wall separated from the property. The sidewalks broke. and they remained in the property. An ordinance was passed by the city in '98 that said, "You shall not repair your home." We heard testimony the other day about how they had to go underneath their house and put bricks to keep it from falling down. I got in the fight over a brick wall for Pastor Miller because in the degradation of that community, he said, I at least want to try to have some kind of dignity about my house that I'm still paying taxes for. And we're arguing over whether or not we gonna help some black families who couldn't help themselves and Latino families who didn't even know the story. And we just watched a $1.5 billion deal leave the assembly for special interest. And you have the audacity to tell me who is deserving? My special interest happens to reside in my district. There's nothing wrong with that because when we're elected to serve who put us in office. This 660 number, we're still in the third review with the city for the civil plans that have been going on for several months at this point. When I fought for these families, I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but those numbers that you're putting out there are estimates. We had enough money to do 59 homes currently, which is why we're here, but there are 93 people who need a change. I will not have the story of these residents diminished, denigrated, or told in a way that it is revisionist to the truth and the facts, because I took so many licks when I got into this fight. My own city tried to literally destroy me for fighting for these families. And if I had had a good enough sense that this was going to be this conversation, then I would have brought the documents out of my office from the city emails of where basically they might have just stalked everything that I did from 23 forward and put it in writing. And literally started to feed stories to the media about me. And I have the documents that say that they engaged in those conversations, and then I have the story that came right after the conversation from the city email. Now you tell me, if fighting for people causes chaos and for people to try to come for you in such a way that all they want to see is your demise, but when I won't bow down and submit, we continue for 2 years these floor statements and foolishness to try to keep coming for me and digging at me and trying to figure out when will she break. Well, let me help you. Never. Let me help you understand. I'm never going to break. I'm never going to submit until I get the remedy for the 93 families. You will not break me. If you didn't catch that notice in 2024 when I whooped your candidate, get the notice now. Because I'm serious that you are not going to keep revising statements and plugging these little pieces of information and then building a narrative that is untrue. And the only thing that you are doing is hurting families
who have hope. I have watched hope spread from that neighborhood to the surrounding neighborhoods, to the point where they see me on the street. I don't even know who they are, and they pull up and roll down their window and say, Dina, because of you, we believe that there is change that is possible because a single legislator will go to bat for us. Maybe you don't know what it means to stand alone and fight, so then you can have criticism, or you can hide your fingerprints of your dirty deeds. But I have reached my limit with these shenanigans. So, dear city, and anyone else who is your ally, if you don't figure out a way to stop your evilness and stop coming for me, because I can actually take it. It's what you keep doing to them. And see, I think you miss the trigger, that you trigger me when you come for them. I rise when you come for them. I change my courage when you come for them. I actually get more courage. I get more defiant. So if you were smart and you were wise, you would shut your mouth and you would do what's right for these families and stop seeding information to people to try to change what is actually the truth. Because I didn't come for you on no flimsy evidence. I came with 50 years of evidence. And if you would like me to continue, keep going. Thank you.
Any further remarks? Secretary will open the roll. Anyone wish to change their vote? Secretary will close the roll. Yeses are 19, the noes are 2. The bill has received the constitutional majority, is declared passed and ordered to the Assembly.
That concludes Order Business 13 on the first agenda.
Order Business 16, remarks on the floor. Senator Cannizzaro.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Senate does have work in each one of our committees. So the plan for today is to allow a bit of time for everyone to grab some lunch or coffee or whatever will sustain you in your committees. We are going to give staff enough time to post committee agendas, and we will plan on having afternoon committee hearings in all 3 of our committees, who have each been given 1 bill and referred on the floor today. So I would anticipate that hearings and committees will be starting maybe sometime around like 2-ish, depending on our ability to get agendas posted and get everyone upstairs. So just so for everyone who is watching us or who is here in the gallery or here on the floor, that is the plan for today. We will allow committees to do their work. We will be back on this floor later on to continue our business. But with that understanding, Mr. President, I would remind everyone to keep an eye out for agendas sometime for this afternoon. And I would move that the Senate stand in recess until the call of the chair.
We are in recess.